Well, we had a hell of a first game. It started off on the get-go. Rotations coming through, multiple people getting taken out of their vehicles, and it was just off the start of this game, just instantly into fights.
Yeah, a lot of teams looking to set up along that far southwestern road, trying to pick up some kills, as it is generally an area where teams like to make rotations. Here you can see this is when Wildcard starts to pick it up. This is when they're able to just gatekeep and control the southwestern part of this circle so incredibly well. It almost fars apart here from Alo, but Alo isn't able to control that spray enough to finish off a member of Wildcard.
Just so much damage that game being output by a Wildcard. They were taking on anything that was around them with no fear. Look at that, walks up into the line of sight for 3 people and just bye. Just gone like that. Pome does walk away with the kill, though, that matters the most and takes the round win. And I mean, I've known Pome for a long time. You know that they have to be so excited to get the round 1 victory here at GLL.
Yeah, I think this is really important. This is something I was really interested about going into this tournament. We've had a couple months now to kind of breathe since the last event, since the PGC. Now we're moving forward. Can LATAM start to pick it up? We've seen them kind of start to gain a little bit of momentum, and this is a great start to 2020 for them.
It's always so great to see LATAM do good, because let's be real. If you're from LATAM, you're passionate. We definitely know that. And to the point where sometimes I'm afraid to ever say anything bad about a Latin American team, because you know you're going to come after me on social media for it. So, breath of... Get that sigh out right now. Got Singularity walking away with that first round win, so no fear on social media right now. These guys are playing so well. Now, the question I have is, we saw a lot of I would say, messy situations that were happening back down towards the southern part of mid-game, where we saw it was Faze and Liquid and Exodus. It just got to be like this point where everybody was just trying to creep their way back towards the north, and there was just not enough room for teams to move.
Well, this is kind of an interesting situation because the circle, once it shifted east, then it just kept going north. So the teams that didn't opt to take that more desired southern rotation that you saw everybody else make actually were the ones who kind of ended up benefiting quite a bit from that. Yeah. Oath was in it at the end there. Now, I think they overextended themselves just a little bit. I think that's maybe kind of this, they're kind of one of the younger teams. We talk about that a lot. There's maybe a little bit of overconfidence in that situation. Unfortunately for them, Singularity and Exalt decided to pounce on it. And part of that was because of the way the circle was moving too, but it was just a little bit too much for them to bite off there.
We didn't get a chance to really talk about Exalt, but again, that's another team very comfortable inside of that situation. We saw there were a couple of those teams that were kind of trying to gatekeep people out, take those shots early, get those early kill points, because we found that is extremely valuable. If you can get those fights early and walk away with 2 to 3 points, it makes the mid-game and the late game so much more comfortable, because then you know you're racking up just a couple of placement points here and there. There's a couple of teams that function just off of trying to go for about 5 to 7 kills per game and then don't really care about placement points. So once you can get those couple of kills very early, it really helps stabilize your confidence moving into that round.
Yeah, generally speaking, with the point system we use, you're looking to average somewhere around 7 to 8 points a game to really give yourself a pretty decent shot at winning the event. And then if you're averaging somewhere around 10 to 11, then you're giving yourself a damn good shot. So to start things off, you want to get a lot of kills. Exalt doing exactly that, doing a fantastic job, not over-aggressing for the most part. They had a good idea to get behind Wildcard, but they just got outplayed by Sharpshot.
I mean, God, how many times have we said that one? Sharpshot, this guy, whenever he is on fire, he is near on unstoppable in some of these fights. And Wildcard never hesitates to go for a fight. So it's just an overall great synergy for that team, and I'm glad the fact that we got to see them really step up and perform inside that first round.
Yeah, another team we just saw on camera a second ago is Omakin. They did a good job. They won a battle against Team Liquid. We didn't get to see much of it because there was a lot of action going on at that time. But they were doing a good job down in the south, picking up kills here and there. I think they ended up with probably 5 or 6 kills, if my memory serves me correct. And that's a good start for them. They, going up against especially that Team Liquid squad, winning a battle against them, that's got to give you some confidence as a team.
Oh, I mean, everybody in this lobby, if you can take down Liquid and Faze, you know that there's going to be a little bit of banter in between the rounds regarding it. It's just a good motivation boost when you come in. We often see these teams that start off early and manage to walk away with a lot of kills in these first couple of rounds, so much more confident through the rest of it. I know we talk about confidence a lot inside of esports, but this is really big in battle royales. You have to believe that you can make the play as you step into it and pray that you're not going to get third party, because we often see hesitation be the death of teams inside a battle royale.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big takeaway from that game one for me, Matt, I would say probably 3 teams that we definitely definitely would consider favorites to win this all went out pretty early without getting many kills for themselves. Faze, Liquid, WTSG. Will it be different this time around? The plane, a little different as well. Starting up in the northwest, heading across Los Leones to the southeast. And we'll see if our circle is going to be in a different area. I want to get a different one now. We got my favorite area of the map out of the way. We got the southeast area. Let's go somewhere else.
It was you, wasn't it? You went and kicked somebody's computer so that way you could get the circle you wanted, Paper. See, I was going to take it on the teeth and be the bad guy, but no, now it's all revealed. So, you can see everybody's just kind of spreading out right now. It's still that centralized area going over right now. Picado, you can see it's Shoot to Kill, Oath, Liquid, Wildcard, WTSG, all next to each other, but Tornado Energy has already landed. Got their guns, taking those barrels you were talking about just a second ago. Not going to connect, but that would be the worst feeling inside of a competitive event when somebody just managed to get to the ground before you and shoot you out of the sky before you get a chance to play. But hey, it's potential points. And I know you wanted to see a little bit different of a circle, Paperthin. Well, you're gonna get one this time around.
Yeah, I think it's a little different. It still has the potential to almost end up in the same area. Now, it probably won't based on where it is. And it could be something interesting here. We'll find out. We're going to talk from a Navi player. Hold up. We got to get something going here first, Matt.
We are still a new roster, and I think that our strong side is strategy. Senya is one of the best IGLs in the world, and I'm absolutely sure that he is the best CIS IGL. We got a lucky chance to play here, and we will use it. And we are ready to play against all teams here.
Ready to play against all teams. I like it. Coming in, they know exactly what they were fighting against right now. So I feel like the biggest villain inside of this game at the present moment is the circle. We didn't get a chance to really go into that one, but there is a lot of water. There's most of that southern island inside of it, and really it's just like Chumacera and a touch. Like the outskirts of Picado is the northern part of that circle. That is pretty nuts. Yeah,
this is interesting. I keep hoping someday that I get to cast something on the islands down by maybe Los Igos or something like that. No, it's super unlikely. It's super unlikely with this circle. It's probably not going to happen, but I keep holding out hope that someday on that chicken wing down there that we get something.
Stop taking my dreams from me, Paper. I already called a Los Igos ending, okay? I want it to happen. Although that area around Valdemar, we did see quite a bit inside of the NPL, so I know that the North American team should be pretty comfortable with that, but it's mostly actually EU teams and Latin America teams that already have positions back along these points. So looking back over towards Exalt right now, I was feeling very comfortable with their drop spot and really capable of getting control. Team Liquid making early rotations. Some things, they may change 2 or 3 people on the team, but one thing's eternal. Team Liquid will rotate very early, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way that they just get out of dodge as soon as they can. They try to set up, get to the spots that they really like. Now, from what I understand, talking to the Team Liquid boys, that Jeems is actually taking over as the in-game leader, the primary in-game leader.
Well, we'll put quotations around that whenever we say in-game leader, because you know that team always likes to have, what is it, the everybody being able to chime in and put in the information. It's just the in-game leader makes the final call with it, so it's kind of a community decision-making process with those guys.
Well, I think a lot of the teams that I'm talking to are starting to drift towards that format. They're getting more comfortable with each other as time goes on. I know Welcome to South George, even though Vard has historically been more of the in-game leader for his teams. When I talked to them, they said that they're kind of all just like doing stuff and they're not having to talk about it a lot. They're just kind of all reacting to situations properly. They're kind of all on a similar page with how they want to approach things.
This could be slightly problematic for Team Liquid as they're going to be running on an approach right next to where Exalt Zat and Red Knids are already trying to get position through here. We do see WTSG finishing off their looting around San Martin. Back over towards the east of them is going to be STK, but you can see Exalt does get that sight line back over towards Team Liquid. We were talking about a second ago. Good headshot coming in from Nailup. Going to go ahead and make them think twice about that, but there's a 2-2 split coming out from Exalt right now, I believe, and it's going to be Team Liquid just kind of playing a little bit of a divot. So they should be safe, but it's going to be with Red Knids, they were looking like they might make an approach, but I believe they saw the vehicles and pulled away from it. Now Faze is making a similar point on this, and I think it's kind of funny that we saw a lot of these teams that went back down towards the south last time get punished as everything shifted back towards the north, and we're having the same thing happen again.
Well, the general rule with this part of the map is it's kind of, you want to be in the darker brown parts, right? Like there's a couple different shades of color going on here. Dark brown area good, like the light brown area not as good. So a lot of teams are just going to cluster up on the southern side because of that, because there's just so much more to work with. It's so much easier to keep yourself safe, to kind of get a little bit of information, get your teammates rezzed if the unfortunate situations do happen where you lose one. And that's exactly what we're seeing. You can see inside games, they're coming down. You've got Team Liquid, Exalt Red, Cannons, Faze, Omakin, Athletico's making their traditional southern road rotation as well. So once again, we're seeing a lot of teams favoring these areas.
It's also the more scenic part. You know, you get some trees. It's not just the dust and the dirt and the desert. You got to have actually something to look out at whenever you're looking through your windows of your house. But Los Leonos still going to take up a good section of the circle. You can see Exodus were the only guys really playing around that right now. So that's kind of a dead zone. And then those fields back over to the west of them, also very hesitation for a lot of these teams to move into those spots. But it looks like Wildcard might opt into playing around that. We've seen Chumacera be quite popular with circles here lately, and there's a decent chance that might shift back that direction, but rotations abound all over the place, as it's going to be very long wrapping rotations coming out from multiple teams. You can see off to the west, it's going to be Na'Vi, Meta, WTSG, and then back over towards the east, it's Singularity, our last round winners, making their approach in no particular rush either.
Yeah, Na'Vi was dropping up in the northwestern part, as we saw earlier when they were giving their little interview with their players, and now they're coming around that far western road. Typically, this is a pretty safe rotation if you come from that northwestern area. There might be one team in front of you, but FaZe has already made their way very well ahead of them, as you would kind of expect. So Na'Vi should have a pretty easy way getting decently deep into the circle. Here comes Welcome to South George on another kind of late-ish rotation. Now, last time they were forced down onto the southeastern side of Puerto Pariso. That part of the map stinks. It's not fun to be down there. There's a lot of open area, and so it was a really difficult situation for WTSG. They kind of got forced into it. Let's see if they can kind of recuperate this round and find themselves able to get better situations.
One thing to note is we do have two members of Wildcard that have opted playing really close to the center of the circle, but their teammates having a couple of shots come out from them from shoot to kill right now. It's going to be Alo trying to get a little bit of vengeance back last round for taking him down. He's trying to cover the other members of his team making their approach, but shoot to kill not wanting to push too far into the circle either yet. A much wider spread across the circle than what we saw last time.
Well, this is a huge split from Wildcard. I mean, that's
only
why
a kilometer. It's fine.
I really like
Just
what
fine.
the observers are showing us there, because exactly, it's like almost a kilometer split. And the reason they're doing that is they were panning around because you couldn't even see the other members of Wildcard really anywhere in range of the other two members. So this is kind of a more traditional style that we see a lot of teams do, where they're going to wait for a round phase 2 or 3, and then they're going to collapse into one of those positions.
We have so many teams running 2-2 splits towards the center of the circle right now. It's nuts. Wildcard's running the widest one, but we do have Red Canids, it's Team Liquid, Exalt's actually running, I believe, a 2-1-1. And Oman back down to the south is also running a 2-2 split. So if you go into that center area of this circle, it is going to be really rough to rotate because there's going to be bullets coming from so many little setups. It's kind of its own fortification at this point. So you can now see where we're going with the circle. Let's just go back over towards the east. That was fun last time. You talked about how much you
wasn't trying
You
to do that.
specifically said how much you don't like this part of the map. This is your fault.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I do like it. The problem is that I didn't want to see it again. I wanted something different. I like this part of the map. However, I was hoping maybe we go something a little bit different. I don't get that lucky.
Had a little bit of trouble there. AC decides that he's going to turn back around on it. It's going to be Red Canids that are holding down this position right now. There's several teams trying to make this rotation across this point. So even if FaZe does manage to get past this, there's going to be IG that's up in front of them as well. Vehicles are already starting to smoke. This could be very problematic for these guys. They decide to cut it back around, but we talked about how many duos were set up everywhere. This is the problem coming out for FaZe. Fuzzface has to abandon his vehicle, just running for the hay bales, praying the fact that he can get away with it, but it's going to be IG that takes a couple of shots back towards Wildcard and gives FaZe some breathing room.
Yeah, for now, FaZe is okay, but their vehicles took a ton of damage in those rotations, and they are kind of in the middle of a field, in the middle of like a canyon almost, so it could be pretty difficult for them. The Red Canids looks like they have a member down. WTSG trying to use all this chaos to make their move across the southern, it's like the southwestern kind of side of this hill.
Should be noted there's also a lot of big drop-offs as there's really high hills all over the place. You can see right now Tornado Energy and how high up and how much vision that they have on the areas around them. You got to be very cautious whenever you're trying to take shots at these different teams. Whenever you're running these splits like this, not all of your guys are going to have the sight lines for it. So a couple of these vehicles are escaping just narrowly due to that. Oh, Red Canids looks like they're actually moving in between the two members of FaZe. That is a very risky decision to make, because now it's going to be Fuzzface taking the shots. Not going to get it up, but it's going to get a couple of shots back from his teammate as AT's going to go ahead and get some damage off for him. And yeah, that didn't work out too well for him.
No, that was a bit aggressive there from the Canids, especially on the back of a buggy like that. Having two members on a buggy is about as awful as it gets. The only other thing that can be worse sometimes is getting stuck with a van, but there you're going to find some level 3 gear for Bestelach as he is going to get back into his Murado and go on his merry way with his new present.
Couple of shots still coming out. The remnants of Red Canids as they're going to try to expand out, get a little bit more space. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go anywhere near FaZe right now, but back to the south of them is going to be Na'Vi. Most of the other teams firmly comfortable where they're at, except for Meta, who is not yet inside the safe zone, pretty far up towards the north of it. Exalt has a beautiful position that they can look back down on these roads if that becomes a rotation point, and they're kind of looking back over towards Na'Vi right now.
Yeah, it seems like this kind of is the name of the game right now for Exalt. Find areas sort of towards the edges of the circle that are up on the high grounds. Try to work with that, see if you can pick up some kills, at least do some damage to the other teams along the way. There's Meta that you were just talking about up on the northwestern side of Los Leones. Going to slowly work their way in. STK going to be up in front of them. Oath is going to be in front of all of that in those warehouses. The very southernmost warehouses of Los Leones is where Oath is going to find themselves. STK, got to remember this, they had a win here at PGC around this area, so this is like kind of a special place for them.
Strong performance area from these guys. Bro, nobody's really around them right now. They have Oath that they can kind of see. Meta's just towards the north of them right now, but where does the next circle go? And it's going to continue to stay back down towards the south, and a lot of water still inside this circle. So places like where Atletico and Exodus are at this stage could be quite big, depending on how these circles shift out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Atletico got to be very happy about the way that this one is moving. Quick rotations from Exalt, like the idea here. They see it. They move. A lot of teams doing exactly the same thing. Singularity up on the northeast. You can see Omakan there is already set up for themselves. Let's see how far Singularity wants to go to it. Last time they were comfortable just finding something, taking it, not trying to push too far into the middle, as there's already quite a lot of teams in there, and that paid off for them last time.
The West is about to be a mess, as there are 4 different teams that are just driving right next to each other. It's going to be one of the members of WTSG getting shot out of the vehicle and then going ahead and dying from it. Actually, did he jump out as he went through?
He got shot out of it and died from the fall.
Vard's going to take a little bit of damage, but Kildama's trying to get back away from this one. Bestelach looking back over with it, and he has himself a fun toy to shoot at vehicles as they drive through there. We were talking about 7.62, but if you've got that much 5.56, you can just make anything you want dead. And oh no, this is a terrible point to flip your vehicles, WTSG. You're in a terrible spot. But FaZe has already got 2 of their members down, trying to get the reses back over towards that, but you can see it's inside games trying to get this grenade off. That is a beautiful bounce back over towards that. Go ahead and let everybody dying out, but now it means FaZe is in a little bit of trouble off of this. They do manage to get the res on it, but this is a very difficult spot to be caught in. As you can see, it's IG, FaZe, and don't forget there is 1 Red Canid around this same location.
Oh yeah, and hey, by the way, there's still 2 teams outside of the West. Now Na'Vi is making their way. I think they might go right potentially into FaZe. We'll see. Here is Oath getting forced kind of into STK, and Exodus is up here as well. Wildcard is now making their run. Let's see how Oath and the members of STK want to react to this.
Civ's trying to be sneaky right now, creeping back around next to where Oath is at. Hiding out. Looks like Snakers already has a read for it. Grenades are prepped on both sides of it. Grenade bounces right next to Civ, but doesn't get enough damage. Really what he wanted, with Snakers finding himself in a bad spot right now. It's fairly defensive, but the problem comes into play when you start getting pushed multiple sides. That's why you've got his teammates. Rello off to the side of this, trying to get a little bit more space. I love that grenade toss coming out of the location. It is so safe in that point. So Snakers still managing just to hold the line for his team from this position. Civ's already gone down. Purdy's trying to get a flank around onto this. Shinboy does manage to get away from those shots coming at him, but it's got to be Wolf that gets taken down. Just 2 members up for Oath right now as they decide they need to play this a touch more more aggressive. And Shoot to Kill is still on the hunt for him as Snakers just goes ahead for the flush back onto this. Shinboy is down, and now it is just Snakers.
All right, so I asked Oath before this, who could be the player on your team that can win a 1v4? And they said Snakers, hands down. There's another one for him. 2 more to go. Can he pull off the squad light? He sees Luke. Got to be careful of this angle. You can see Alo has a grenade. Luke's going to try to back him off potentially with a Molotov. That grenade goes out the door, bounces just past Snakers. So for now, Snakers holding on. The Oath members said that Snakers has just a natural ability to survive and then pick up more kills for their team.
We also have a very interesting position coming out from Na'Vi, looking back over towards Tornado Energy in this position. Do get a sightline back over towards 1, so Tab does connect. I mean, that's going to unlock the rest of Na'Vi members to start making their way forward, and it's just starting to be a route back over towards Tornado Energy as they do get eliminated. 15th team out, and Na'Vi is going to be happy with that, but they've got to run. Try to get away from this blue zone because it's going to be a pushing at any second now, and there's going to be Faze that could be in a gatekeeping position. They seem to be very aware of that, opting and playing back down towards the south.
Yeah, this western part of the circle got really chaotic, of course, because it shifted away from everything. There's a lot of 2-2 splits still kind of trying to be maintained. Now, Sharp Shot does get knocked over here by Exalt. Nailup is pretty hurt, so he's going to heal up for himself. Udyr trying to just bang out on the east side of everything. Meanwhile, Faze is still out here. Team Liquid has held this compound for quite some time. And then you've got Inside Games coming up on the west.
For whatever reason, it feels like Exalt and Wildcard do not like each other. These guys just constantly seem to be fighting at different parts of the map. IG trying to figure out how they're going to make their approach, and you can see it is just so messy over here. It's going to be so difficult for so many of these teams. Rusty Zero is just not even trying to move at this point as Uba does manage to connect shots back over towards Free Kill, going to take him down and flush him. Fuzzface has got to figure out, okay, where do I go next? Well, gets the sightline back down towards IG, but doesn't manage to take him down in the first spray. Does manage to pick it up there towards the end, and that's going to give him a little bit more space, and the rest of his team now can start to make that push back over towards the east.
Yeah, IG just wasn't expecting anyone to be hanging this far back, but Faze Clan very wisely understanding their situation. They can catch some teams off guard, pick up a few more points. They may not necessarily be able to...
I love it.
Okay, just never mind. I don't want to finish my point. That's hilarious.
IG is in a terrible spot right now as they've got Faze that's pushing back behind them and Liquid that wants to be involved, but Rusty Zero takes a couple of shots on it, does some damage back over towards Faze. That might stop that push that they were trying to make back over towards IG. Problem is, this is still not inside the safe zone, and Faze looks like they're still gunning back this direction. Team Liquid's playing this position, and they're not inside the safe zone quite yet either. Looks like they're trying to go for a res back over towards it as Atletico is getting a nice angle back towards it, and Faze does get a great sightline back over towards Team Liquid as well, but has to be very hesitant as IG is just holding that ridge.
I mean, this is so scary. Faze was not given great positions on the western end of the circle, and they're just so good. They're able to get kills all over the place. There's still 12 teams alive. It's going to be challenging to really get into those placement points, but for now, look at this. Once again, they're catching IG in transition.
Here's the problem. Team Liquid had to go for the res on this. That means that they lost a lot of information. IG manages to creep up next to him, but look at that. It's going to be a beautiful grenade coming out from Faze. Go ahead and clear that out. Faze still looking that they want to continue this push, and at 10 kills, why the hell not? K-Mine does manage to spin back around onto it, so now it's just Gustav, the last man up for his team. K-Mine looking back over. He does get spotted out, so Team Liquid does get eliminated, but Faze is now finding themselves in a very difficult position of their own as they're going to have Exalt and Atletico both taking shots back over towards it.
I mean, 6 kills for Uba. What else would you expect from one of the best players in the world popping off here in the second game? The circles continue to be not favorable for Faze, though, as it is right on top of Omakan in the middle. You've got Na'Vi doing a great job working the southern end, maybe kind of feeling that some of the other teams weren't going to be as interested in trying to stay on the south due to how the last game went. Good grenade isn't going to quite finish off Luke. That one's probably going to do it. Indeed. Taylor J finds a kill here. So 4 kills for Exodus. They've been doing a nice little job up on the northern part of the circle while all that fighting was going on in the west.
Alo finds himself alone again as everybody starts to make the pushes back over towards the center position of the circle. Atletico does have a little bit of a foothold, and it's going to be OMK that's just towards the north of them. Civ is going to be falling back behind that, but a lot of these teams still just trying to spot out the remnants of other teams before they make their push in. So that's kind of what Exodus has got their eyes on. 2-2 split from Na'Vi. Looks like it might regroup in just a second as the Na'Vi guys that we're looking at right now are just trying to provide a little bit cover as, there you go, the other two are now going to show up, and they are inside the safe zone, but they are very far to the south of it.
Yeah, it's smart play calling by Senya here for Na'Vi. Very safe rotation so far, doing a good job working the bottom of this circle, but now they've got to go uphill, and you can see between them and Athletico, there's not much that they can really necessarily work with. It's going to take maybe hoping that somebody else kind of causes some kind of distraction, or they're going to have to change directions, or if they get really, really ballsy, they can just go right up underneath Athletico and try to just take them on one-on-one.
Ditch the backpacks, just start the military press crawl through the wheat. That's what you got to do sometimes, but looks like it's going to be up towards the north as Meta has one member still up, taking a couple of shots towards Singularity, but Exodus hears this and might continue on their press along this line. Exalt still just trying to move in just a little bit more. As you can see, they're going to have a smidgen of that building that's still in play, and it's going to be Alo that's looking back towards it, but yeah, this is what I was expecting from Exodus. These guys like to play aggressive. We talked about teams that like to hunt down points early and care less about position. Exodus is one of those teams that feel they can kill anybody at any given time, and with a roster like this, it's pretty big, but OMK, I caster cursed it off of that one. Balefrost just gets dropped with a headshot, but it might be a res coming back through onto that one. I feel like that one should be pretty safe as Harold just looked back over towards OMK, and OMK really just gatekeeping out 3 different teams on different angles right now at about 300 meters separating them out.
Well, we saw in the last game that when they're given a compound, they do a really good job defending it, and Pome did find that AWM just in front of Hyogwin there, isn't able to get the connection, so somebody else, I'm not sure if that was him or not, that hit Hyogwin. I think it was Pome whose shot landed there, looking to try to find one more as Hyogwin forced to prone. He's seeing if there's some way he can get some kind of heal off, but the circle is moving way over to the west. Look at this once again for SDK. It's Alo as the sneaky snake left.
Singularity is going to have their work cut out for them this time, as they're going to have to make an approach back over towards the west. They know that they have at least a solo that's off in the distance from them that could be messing with them, but the Exodus are going to have a very interesting path of their own, as it looks like they keep glancing back down towards OMK. Nobody wants to make this push into a complex at this stage of the game. You know it's going to be risky, but there's not a lot of really good options for Exodus right now.
Yeah, the Exodus might try to just wait this out. That's what a lot of teams are probably considering right now. We have to come into the circle from the outside, Singularity being the other. Can we just wait for the other team to be the ones to kind of brute battle each other, get into Omakin, and then we'll come in and try to third party it and win it? But Vegas is just going to go right for it. Here's that confidence you're talking about. Doesn't pay off as Paige is going to find him.
But it does draw a little bit of the aggro off on this angle. Can the rest of his team do something with it? And it's just a firing line coming out from OMK. Exodus has no room to breathe or the capabilities to move forward. Pome is still looking back over towards the remnants of Meta. This one guy has been driving him absolutely insane. But this is going to stall Singularity for quite a bit until they get this. They're going to finally go, nope, we cannot wait any longer. It's just time to send it. But the problem with it is where do you send it inside of this? Because there's a lot of land that you do not want to play.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot to work with here. Again, maybe you could try and roll up on the east side of one of these compounds and just kind of hide on the back end of it. But now we are back over with Exodus and Omika and Vasku looking to see anybody cross along that little bit, that sliver in between those smokes, see if he can catch somebody and then maybe spray him down.
Singularity is just sending it back over next to OMK. This might be a distraction that can pull attention back over towards this angle. Yeah, I'm going to have a couple of shots looking towards it. Athletico also going to take a couple of shots back over towards Singularity, but now this might be the opportunity for Exodus to continue to try to make their push onto this. Singularity's Kodak does go down on the outside of the safe zone after he does get dropped out, and this is what we're talking about. There's not a lot of good places to play inside of this because the complexes that are already held have such beautiful sight lines on everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Singularity went for it. They weren't just able to I mean, like you said, it's just such a difficult position. That was really the only option they kind of had outside of just straight up just trying to push into one of the compounds like Athletico or Omakins. But meanwhile, Exodus, it looks like this is going to be the end of this game. They are completely stuck outside. Indeed, Taylor J just going to let himself go down to the circle, 8th place, so they get 1 placement point out of it at least.
Other solo we got to keep an eye on is going to be Hagen. Still trying to figure out how he's going to make his approaches. He still has Singularity right up next to him. Singularity did manage to find themselves a little bit of a place to play, but one of the things I really want to keep my eyes on is Hagen right now and how we're going to see Na'Vi play this, because don't forget, they've got that M249 to work with, and this closer that everything gets, the better that gun gets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, of course, early on, nice to get vehicles very damaged very quickly. Harald taking a bunch of damage here as grenades ringing out in his face as people have kind of figured out where Singularity is hanging out, and now Circle, look at this. Athletico right on top of it. Nick 101 going to go out and get that crate for himself, it looks like.
Athletico and OMK have been having to deal with all these people that are like messing around next to them, and they haven't really had a chance to focus back over towards Exalt in a while. We do see Eigen finally get spotted out, so our last solo that's just kind of hanging out, watching everything is going to be Alo. Shoot to Kill still keeping their presence felt inside of this point of the game, but right now, it's about OMK for me. They have good positioning, and everybody's having to contend with how they're playing around this. Navi has finally decided that they're going to go make their push back over towards Athletico, and Exalt do manage to find a very interesting place to stop on this, and does deny a couple of sightlines.
Yeah, I like the idea here by Exalt. They found a little bit of a crevice to work with. Alo is still up there, of course. Now, Alo is outside of the circle. So, you know for sure Alo heard that rotation by Exalt. How is he going to get through this? Is he going to just try to sneak his way into the circle? Is he going to try to pick off a few kills, maybe be a thorn in the side of Exalt if and when they decide to kind of try to fight this Athletico situation? Now, for now, there's just shots being traded back and forth. Navi has to come up on the backside of this, but they were able to make it up here, Matt, and this is a really incredible job by Navi to work this situation. And like they were talking about, great timing with our video focusing on Navi. Really good rotations by them. And
they're in a very strong point right now. The closer everything gets, they're just going to become that much stronger. They're condensed in a good position. They've got 5 kills at this point. They've been capable of looting as they go through this, so they're in a very reinvigorated situation where a lot of these teams have been having to use a lot of smoke, utility, grenades at this point. Navi has been leaning into the longer range skirmishes, and it's allowed them to hold on to a lot of that. As you can see, Alo right now has tons of meds to work with, but really only 1 smoke grenade to try to figure out how he's going to handle this, and I think that he's inside the zone right now. Yeah, just narrowly, and so he's going to be perfectly fine letting Exalt do all the work for him to keep him alive.
Oh man, if he finds the right situation, he might be able to get 1 or 2 members of Exalt with a grenade and possibly wipe the whole squad by himself, depending on exactly what happens. Back over to Navi, as now this will force the battle. They have no choice. The circle has moved, so now they have to get it going. Alo still laying prone, hasn't made his move just yet, as Omekin still in the circle, but they're going to send T-Bone ahead. I like this split by Omekin, a 1-3. The 3 members still on the edge, able to cover all the angles, while T-Bone can sit in the middle. Hopefully he can stay safe, and then you give yourself a really good shot at controlling this late game situation.
Pressure starting to mount back over towards Athletico as Navi is slowly creeping up on them. You can see it's a little bit hazardous back towards that angle. Grenade's going to come back over next to Monkey and make him aware that something's going on next to him. Tab's trying to take the shots back over towards Exalt, but it's going to be T-Bone that gets the down onto him. So now Navi's got to figure out what are we going to do with this as they do pick up the flush onto it. Best of Losh trying to make the push onto the side of this. It's starting to get a little bit of hairy around this position. Navi want to continue forward, but the grenades are raining down next to him. Shoot to Kill does get eliminated, but you can see Navi getting very close to making this press, but they do not want to overcommit as of yet. But OMK looking back down towards Athletico as being a huge distraction.
Oof. Just almost getting into the backside was Omekin, just not able to land his shots was T-Bone, but he continues to work the middle for Omekin. This is a really nice situation for them. Everyone else has to kind of fight on the bottom side. He can look over here onto Exalt. Exalt has to basically run across his field of fire and the other members of Omekin as well. He's going to move down, but now that building's just enough in his way. Quick does get taken out, so this is great for Omekin. Now their flanks are completely clear. Everybody is to the south of them.
They have control over the north in a huge fashion. You can see just complete comfort. When you're playing at this stage and you're up on top of one of these buildings, that means that you know you have control on what's going on, and it's due to this push coming out from Navi. Navi's trying to figure out how they're going to contain in this position, and it's just so much damage being done by Blue Zone, grenades. They get dropped, and there's some great stuff inside those crates, but nobody's going to have time for that as a beautiful grenade from Monkey is going to take out so much of their team. Exalt's starting to come alive again in the endgame.
I can't believe Exalt is making this work. What a fantastic job being really cagey and dodgy, getting up through here. Tons of teams had angles down to them. They're able to at least get 1 to survive. Now, there is 4 members of Athletico in front of them. Really challenging.
And that's the true winner for Athletico right there, is everybody kind of fought each other, so they get a little bit more space. They managed to keep their members up, but look at that split coming out from OMK. They have so many angles back onto the approach Athletico wants to take. Vascu has a very sneaky angle over here that's really denying any rotation from Athletico. Should be noted, there is still 1 member of Exalt up off that might have a position that he can take some shots back over towards Atletico. Atletico can't make it up this hillside. There's just too much stuff coming back down towards them. Too much utility that's being used. The sight lines coming out from OMK are just massive.
Yeah, this is a great job by Vascu knowing this terrain very, very well. Knowing that there's no way really for Atletico to get up. You can see there's just a steep ledge on the front side of them in between the building where Atletico is set up. The easiest way they could get over is on that west side. As long as Vascu can hold down that flank, this should be a victory for this team. Now, the real question is what is Monkey going to do?
Well, I'm caught up in how good the comms have got to be from OMK right now. You see that people that don't even have sightlines on the other teams are instantly throwing out utility on such beautiful angles for it. Oh, Monkey does get spotted out. Good shots coming out from him, though. Gets a little bit of damage back over towards two of the members from Atletico. Does take him down. OMK decided that they're going to try and make their move right now. There's nowhere for him to go, but he did get 2 downs back over towards Atletico. I believe that means that Zoidmate is the last person alive from his squad. Tries to get the shots, but that's going to be an OMK victory.
Atletico did the best they could there. They held that compound for a long time. But this is Omaken looking very, very strong, looking great in their defense, making aggressive moves on that Phase 8 circle. Paid off tremendously for them and gave them that win. Excellent knowledge of that terrain.
9 kills that they walk away from. Great performance coming out of those guys. Atletico had the world that was coming after them towards the end of that. Do manage to walk away with 2nd place and 2 kills of their own. But I gotta point out, this is the 2nd time that we're seeing Exalt in the end game out of 2 games. If this continues to be a trend, these guys are gonna be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, Exalt looking very confident and comfortable, especially in their rotations. I do want to mention real quick, you saw that your eyes did not deceive you fans at home. That was indeed Froz. He is coaching Omaken for this, so congratulations to him and the team. Of course, he's got to be very happy. But back over to Exalt, Matrym. That was really impressive what they did. Able to get up onto that compound on the west that Atletico and Navi were at. That is such a challenging thing to do, and they were really patient, making great moves at the right time, landing good shots to open up paths for them to get there.
I mean, and that is such a hard place to play an endgame circle at. You saw how the buildings just kind of ran right up next to the hillside to where there's this huge incline OMK was holding, and there was no easy path for anybody from Atletico to try to crest up into this, and that kind of forced him back over onto that angle that we saw Exalt playing. The last member, Monkey, managed to get 2 downs off of it because really Atletico couldn't find any way to breach up that hillside because OMK just had it in a stranglehold.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to give Navi a lot of credit here as well. Great decision-making from them, great timing as well. So I really like what we're seeing. A lot of very smart, heady play from these teams, able to get themselves out of difficult situations and at least make the most of those, those timings that sometimes you're trying to come up on the backside of that hill and the other team is just so focused on you, they just tear you apart. But this time, the teams, both Navi and Exalt, are able to make it work quite effectively.
I need more M249 in my life, please. That's the one takeaway from that round I really wish that we saw just a touch more of. Anytime I see that gun go off, it's just like, yes, so good. I mean, I always have a penchant for LMGs. I love them, but the way that gun sounds always just makes me happy.
I mean, you don't see it very often in competitive PUBG,
really
but it is, like you said, very good at taking down vehicles, and at close range, you can just hold the trigger down and just let things go.
So we have finished out with Miramar, which is now we're going to be making our way over towards Sandhawk. We know that's where things get pretty fun, a little dicey, but given the circles we had in our first 2 rounds, maybe everybody is looking forward to going towards Sandhawk now because it's like at least 90% of the circle can't be water this time.
Well, you say that.
It's possible. Oh my God, if we go back over towards the northern island, I'm so sorry, everybody. That's my fault. I'll own that one.
All right, well, guys, we are ready for our next break. These are very short breaks. Stick with us. Sandhawk coming up next.
Don't just watch PUBG, compete as well. Competitive ELO and ranking system. Climb the ladder. Start your path to pro. Head over to play.gll.gg. The best PUBG platform.